There are times when it's not appropriate to salute. And one of those times would be is when your hands are full. And let's take, for example, you're coming into the academy in the morning. You've got all your books because you've done all your homework over the weekend. And, but anyway, your hands are full. You meet the young private on the way out of the academy, going to their car, and they salute and say, "Good morning, sir," real loud because they say, "Ha, watch this. See what happens." Okay, what do? Just return the verbal greeting. Don't get excited and drop all your equipment, all right? Just return the verbal greeting. Now, if it's the other way around, the enlisted person's hands are full. They should still initiate a greeting to you. "Good morning, sir. Good morning, ma'am." And you should answer their verbal greeting. There's not a requirement to salute. No salute was initiated by the junior person. But I would encourage you to go ahead and give that person a salute, because if it was the other way around, they would be saluting. It makes them feel just a little better if you do that. By regulation, you're not required to. The enlisted folks will work for you somewhere, no matter where you work, and they make you a lot of money. And if they feel good towards you and respect you as a person and as an officer, they do better work for you than if there's bad feelings between you. So anything you can do to let them know, hey, I respect you as a person. I'm polite and courteous to you. You be polite and courteous to me. I think it makes a little money for us on down the road. It pays off in the end. In the privately owned vehicles, we refer to them as POVs. At one time, you had to salute if you recognized the person in the car to be of senior rank. If you were riding in your car and someone recognized you, they would salute you. Thank goodness we don't do that anymore. It was hazardous to people's health. You know, you're trying to drive your car and salute. So we're not saluting with the privately owned vehicles. At one time, they had the little blue stickers for officers, little red stickers for enlisted people, a green sticker for the civilians on the bumpers. And you had to sort out the blue stickers if you were enlisted, and when you saw a blue sticker, you saluted. And the little old lady's on the way to the commissary, and it's somebody's mother-in-law, and she doesn't really understand what's going on. She says, "Oh, the kid's got a nervous twitch or something, you know." So we don't salute the privately owned cars. But there's something that you need to really be aware of. Those cars that someone painted that ugly green, OD color, and we call them military sedans, on the front of some of them, you will notice a placard, and it's either red or maroon in color, and you'll have one or more silver stars displayed on the front of it. Whatever you do, salute those stars, okay? Salute those stars. It's very important. A few months ago, we had a general here at the academy that on his way to work one morning, he said good morning in the military way to some folks, and those folks stopped me down the snack bar the next day and said, "Major Moore, you didn't do your job very well when you talked to us about saluting." And there's two captains. And I said, "Well, I'm sorry, what did I do wrong?" He said, "You didn't emphasize saluting those OD sedans strong enough." And I said, "Well, why?" He says, "Well, the superintendent of the academy stopped us yesterday morning and said good morning to us." And I said, "Well, what's wrong with that?" He says, "Well, you don't understand. We were late for class, and we were running. And we didn't see the sedan and pay any attention to the stars displayed on the front of it. And he called us over and said, 'Good morning, gentlemen.' And we says, 'Oh, hi.' And that probably wasn't the proper reply. But they were concentrating on getting to class, and they weren't really thinking about other things. Well, anyway, they met for about 3 mornings in a row, very early, so that they could be on time for class in the future. And they had a little class on how to salute. And the two captains stood on the steps and saluted each other a few times each morning real early as kind of a remedial training, you might say. So when you see the sedan with the stars on the front of it, salute them. You don't try to sort out who's in the car or who's not in the car. And there's kind of an old joke about that the officer looked and there was no one in the back seat of the car, and the stars were displayed on the front. So he says, I'm not going to salute, and he walked on by. And I guess the general had just been over to pick up his newspaper, and when he raised up, he's eyeball to eyeball with this young officer walking by and not saluting. and he probably talked to him about it. The plaque on the front of the sedan, if it's red with stars, silver stars on it, that means it's an Army general. If the background is maroon, it's an AMED Army general. Okay, the Air Force has blue ones and what have you. Do we salute Air Force generals or colonels? Do Air Force enlisted people salute you and I? Sure. It's a mutual agreement between the Army and the Navy and the Air Force and what have you, and the Marines. That's about all we agree on, but we do agree on that. Okay. A time that you might salute in civilian clothes, or you might receive a salute in civilian clothes, if you enter a closed post. And by that I mean there's a gate guard and you pull up in your car, and after you've been in the Army for a while, your privately owned vehicle will probably have a blue sticker on the bumper because we register our vehicles on post and they give officers blue stickers. So you pull up to this gate, and this poor little gate guard has been thoroughly indoctrinated about his general orders. In fact, they wrote them on a plank and gave them to him and laminated them with plastic so he doesn't forget them. And A sub B little 1 underneath all that says you salute all officers. Well, he sees the car pull up, it's got a blue sticker on the bumper. That registers with him because about 10 more down underneath that says blue stickers belong to officers. So he's figured that all out, and he stops you and asks for your identification because you're in civilian clothes. And you give him that ID card with that good-looking, handsome, dignified picture on the front of it that they always put on ID cards, and he looks at it and says, as dignified looking as this person is, I'm sure they're an officer, and they gives you the card back. And he hadn't really sorted this all out, but it says salute officers. He's identified you as an officer, and he salutes you. What do you do? Well, if you can return the salute without running over the guard shack or the MP or what have you, go ahead and return the salute. No problem. But if there's a problem with it, we'll just drive on. It won't offend him at all. Okay. And that's one occasion where you may be saluted in a POV, in civilian clothes, which normally does not happen. Okay. Are there any questions so far about what we've talked about?
To get back to the sedans, they've got covers for the stars still, don't they?
Okay, his comment is they still have covers for the stars. That's right. The driver driving that vehicle, when the general gets out of it, he should get out and go around and cover those stars up. It's a little canvas cover on it. And when the general comes back in and gets into the car, the driver should go and uncover it again. That does not always happen. But I wouldn't gamble on it. I'd just go ahead and salute anyway. Something else is if you're riding with a very senior person in a military sedan, you get into the sedan first. The right rear door is when the driver will open. You get in first, the general will get in last because he should ride in the right rear corner of the sedan. When you arrive at your destination and there's someone there to greet you or what have you and the driver opens the door, the senior person is the one that gets out of the sedan first. Okay. Yes, please.
In your civilian clothes and you're on post and you're to the colors, do you salute in civilian colors to the colors, or?
Okay. When to the colors are played and you're on post and do you salute, I'll answer your question like this. Yes, in civilian clothes you do, and I'll talk some more about that just a little later on. We'll talk about that just a little more later on. But yes, we do salute. If you're in a formation, and while you're here, you'll be in several formations. What do you do when a senior officer approaches your formation and you happen to be the class leader and everybody's standing in the class? What do? You call the class to attention if you're the person in charge, and then you salute for the whole class by reporting to this person that's approaching your formation, as you see here. Everyone does not salute. If you're standing around in a group just outside the building and someone approaches, then all of us salute. Okay? All of us salute. And getting back when to the colors are played. In the morning, we have reveille, and the cannon goes boom, the music plays, and in the afternoon, we have retreat, and they take the flag down. The cannon goes boom, and music's played. What do? Okay? When we're in civilian clothes, we render the civilian salute by placing our left hand over our right hand over our left shoulder in this manner. Okay? If you have headgear on in civilian clothes, you take the headgear off and hold it over your left shoulder in this manner. In military clothes, you stop what you're doing, stand at attention, and render a military salute. If you're in the area and you can hear the music and the cannon, you know it's reveille or retreat, morning or evening, being the case. You just stop what you're doing, no matter what it is, driving your car, jogging, riding your bicycle, or just walking along, and you salute. When the music stops playing, that's your cue to drop your salute and go on about your business. This being an open post, and civilians early in the morning are trying to get the other side of post to go to work, and those that live on this side all work on the other side, I guess, because there's a lot of traffic going across post in the early hours and the late evening hours. So if you stop your car real quick and vigorously jump out to salute, retreat, or reveille, be careful and look around and be sure you get your car off the street and exercise some caution, because some of these folks didn't get the word about saluting when this takes place, and they just keep driving on, and it could kind of ruin your whole day. Okay. While you're here, I'm sure there'll be at least one parade, and if you can, attend that parade while you're here just as a spectator. If you've never been to one, it's kind of interesting to watch. And at the parade, the colors will pass in front of where the spectators are standing. And when you're a spectator and the colors are carried in this manner and pass in front of you, you should stand when the colors are 15 to 20 paces off to your left, and they usually come from your left across to your right. You should stand, salute, follow the colors across with your head and eyes until they're well past you, then drop your salute and sit down. I went to the Battle of Roses parade last year in California, and the horses came by, and then the color guards came by. And there was a fellow sitting off to my right front that's about the same age I am, and when the national colors came by, he and I stood up, and we put our hand in the civilian type salute because we was in civilian clothes, and watching the colors go by, and from behind us we hear all these people saying, "Hey dummy, sit down, we can't see." So he and I just very quietly sat down. So like I say, some people may not understand some of our customs that we have in the Army. When the national anthem's played, out of doors, we stand up and salute. When it's played indoors, we just stand up, military clothes or civilian clothes. Okay. The general's march is played at parades, and the general will be moving and going by probably where you're standing. And when this takes place, you stand up and you salute as the general passes. Some people think you're saluting the music, but really you're not, okay? A few years ago, the artillery had a song, and it was called "When the Caissons Go Rolling Along." Well, the Army stole their music, let them keep their words, but stole the music, and says, we're going to call this the Army song. And they wrote some new words to it. And for those of you that have heard "When the Caissons Go Rolling Along," when it's played now, except at an artillery gathering, they still use it. It's probably the Army song, and we should stand up and no salutes. You just rise and just stand there until the song finished playing. Inside, outside, military clothes or civilian clothes. Okay. Let's take a break just for a few minutes.